us can open.
Hey, go ahead, buddy.
Hurry up, I'm typing an email.
Focus. It's a beautiful Wednesday afternoon out there. Thanks for joining us. It's 107 right now, and we're going to play a little game called Guess the Temperature. Bridgette, how warm is it outside?
Hot. I was just out there and pounded some posts in at our field. It's hot.
Can confirm it is hot. Dean, how hot is it?
89.
89 degrees outside. 89.
What was the 3-degree guarantee today?
Not happening.
90. We'll hit it. Well, we're definitely going to hit
we'll
it.
definitely
to
hit
surpass it.
You got to hit 80,
Yeah.
94 to break your 3-degree
Let's
guarantee.
not do that. No, I don't think it's going to be hard pressed to get that high, but wouldn't surprise me too much if we don't see
Bonus,
these.
son.
Yeah, we do have clouds that are starting to develop, but not as quick as yesterday. Those cumulus clouds are going to be developing out ahead of a upper-level wave coming out of South Dakota. It's got quite a bit of energy with it, and we are going to see more storms develop, it looks like, as we head into the late afternoon and evening hours. So if you have maybe a softball game this evening, that might be hindered, or a golf tee time that might be hindered for this evening. With some of those storms possibly on the strong side. Kind of like yesterday, hail reported out near Bemidji, and some strong storms northeast of DL. But we were bone dry here in the FM area, but areas as close as Ulen picked up a 1/4 inch. Up around Grand Forks.
I grabbed about 1/3 of an inch yesterday.
About
on
a 1/4 to
top of
half inch.
1.2 I got the day before, so I've gotten 1.5 inches in the last 2 days.
You've done well.
I've done extremely well.
Yeah.
My yard was getting all brown and crunchy and spiky, and now it's not as spiky, and it's starting to change back to a darker shade of green.
If it stays green or brown and spiky, does it mean you're going out there with like spray paint trying to make it look good for the neighbors?
Oh man, I might just rip the whole yard up. Start from
Just make it into a big
scratch.
garden.
I got
Well-
like 3 different kinds of grass growing back there. I'm like, this stuff is light green, this stuff is dark green, and why is this stuff yellow and spiky?
Call it diversity.
Yeah, we
or
could go
better
that way.
fertilization.
Yeah,
How's
someone
that?
ran out of seed and went and bought another bag and ran out of that seed and then went out and bought another bag.
Someone, that mysterious someone did it.
Hey, we got a
goodness.
phone call. If you want to join in on our conversation, 701-293-9000 is the Red Wings Shoes phone line. Let's head over there right now and see who we got on the phone. Welcome to Weather Nag and Focus. Who is this?
Hey, this is Jake, and I just have a quick question. So was this nasty heat wave predicted in the LRC?
I was waiting for somebody to ask that.
That's
go.
a great question.
Honestly, I would have to go back and look. I don't have that at my fingertips.
I don't have it at my fingertips.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I do, but I don't have the raw data, but I have what I compiled here and put it on our website. And let's just
That
take
was
a
just
look.
a precip, though, wasn't it? Did
There
you have
is
a temperature graph on
there
there?
is a temperature trend on there. Let me see if I can pull it up here on the old WDAY.
Back in April or May, when I heard you guys talking about it, I didn't hear anything about and people were calling in and asking about different days and different weeks.
I know.
and stuff.
I know there was
remember.
there was a potential heat wave, which is kind of obvious. It usually builds around mid-July. That's heading in. The pattern that we have right now is, so if you go back 50 days, I believe that's right around end of March, early April, or end of March, right? That's about 50 days from where we're at right now into early April. Is the pattern that we're in right now. So if we were above average then odds are we should be above average now. The couple of things that are a little different now is that
Got a lot of blocking.
there's
that
a lot of
wasn't here
blocking in the
past.
atmosphere, and that's kind of stalling all these weather systems, which we did have blocking during the winter months, but it was a
Nothing
different
like this kind of
nothing
block.
like this. So the blocking I think was a little unexpected, but this is an anomaly. In other words, this isn't going to be the regular pattern. So when it comes down to temperature, do you have an answer for him? Or?
I do have.
Okay.
Over the general area, there's a pretty good spike in temperatures right at the end of May. Not quite as hot as what we're at, but the trend is a good spike in temperatures right at the end of May. And for Cass County specifically, they kind of have temperatures leveling off after a brief spike in mid to end of May. So it's just the blocking is influencing that pattern. The heat wave that should have been further to our south has stalled and pushed further into the northern plains. So I guess you could say it wasn't expected, but to our south it was.
Okay.
Got it. All right. Thank you for that.
Hey, thanks for calling.
Great question. Yeah, I had a couple other people ask me, was this predicted by the LRC? And kind of like the storms in the winter, there was some that just missed us to the south, and this heat ridge was supposed to stay to our south, but It did
It's
end up
lifted
creeping north because of the blocking that's in the Great Lakes. That's it's not allowing it to move eastward. Now that block will break down as we head into the end of next week, and then that will allow a normal progressive weather pattern, which is more conducive for the LRC.
Yeah, we'll probably see those temperatures balancing out with that as well, because we won't be stuck with 7 days of due southerly wind.
No, and 90-degree temperatures.
Well, as my usual demanding self, I would like to say thank you that the wind is down, because there are sprayers that are getting work done. Also, thank you guys for answering Jake's weather question, because while you were doing that, I was helping talk about a sprayer load of atrazine and trying to get that cleaned out. So you guys are doing good work while I'm doing good work.
Like a messy situation. Can I mention what it was? Or is that a no-go?
We can talk about it. We'll try to answer it as best we can, yes.
Okay, so there's this fertilizer sprayer, and they didn't clean it out when they were done, so it looks like someone took mud from, what do you want to call it, sheetrocking, all the taping mud, and it's caked all over the inside of the sprayer, through the pipes, into the nozzles, and it's just not moving or doing
now, why
anything.
wouldn't they clean it?
Okay, so there's a couple things there. First of all, this was a sprayer that they had loaded it, and they sprayed out the load, and they found that's what it looked like inside after it was sprayed out. It contained atrazine. For farmers who use atrazine, they realize that that's a clay-based molecule, and that tends to literally become muddy in the tank depending on how it's mixed. And so what happened with this one is they had to spray, then they had to leave the tank sit for a while. They didn't get a chance to spray because the wind came back up. And so it's like things kind of dry out, and you don't like leaving certain products in your tank for a longer period of time, because they just fall out of solution. They can set up. And Justin's getting really good at this when I'm in the office and I'm like, okay, I'm going to help this guy with the spray tank. He's like, tell me more. What can we talk about?
I don't know. What do we got going on here?
What's happening? So, yeah, and there was some glyphosate involved, and there are different formulations of glyphosate, and one of them has a tendency to not always play very nicely with others. It's like trying to keep oil and water in an emulsion in a kitchen. Sometimes you have to do that in your sprayers.
So for this farmer that this happened to, is it kind of embarrassing? Like, I should have known better to clean this out, or it's just something you
got to deal with.
happens.
Yeah. Sometimes it just flat happens. And you just reminded me, I had missed a call from a crop consultant earlier. I got to call that guy back. So if he's listening, I saw I missed your call, but I've had a bunch. I will call you back as soon as I can. Or call the show, Dan. You can call our Red Wing Shoe hotline at 701-293-9000. Maybe
we can see how Bridgette works live on the radio.
She's busy with CDMS, the label guide, going, oh, let me look that up.
Yeah, I'm going to want you to do this, this, and that. And of course, there'll be someone who calls in and say, no, don't do that.
Please don't call with off-label questions, because there was a number of those on Twitter yesterday where somebody says, I did this. I don't think I was supposed to. How do I fix it? And a few of us in the background are like, well, we're not going to answer that publicly, because no, that was off label. We don't want to talk about that.
Okay. So in the years of you doing your consulting, going out to
Agronomy
farms,
stuff, yeah.
agronomy, your selling of products for all these different companies that you were involved in, like this situation that just happened where the chemicals separated, whatever dried out, there's clay, dirt, mud on the side of their sprayer through their tank and through all the pipes. What's the weirdest thing that you've seen, or something like that you're like, why, how, what were you thinking?
The one that took a while to crack the code, if you will, was up by Langdon. If you're familiar with canola is in the mustard family. It's a yellow flowering crop. We crush it to make oil. Yep, beautiful flower. And we had a field where it was streaked, and we couldn't, and certain sections in that canola field were dying, and we couldn't quite figure out why.
I got it.
Okay. What do you got?
Say, did any of you children see the alien spaceship last night?
No.
You walked into that one.
Oh, I did. Oh, gosh, I can't. Just hit my head on the microphone. I can't believe I did that. So we got the call because there was it looked like when they would refill their sprayer that something was coming out, but where was it coming from? Because they'd done a very, very thorough tank cleaning, etc. What we realized is when they were loading the sprayer with a wheat herbicide, their agitation was fairly high. They were using a 3-inch hose, so they get a lot of rush of water into the tank. That causes almost like it looks like a rolling boil of water, okay? But it also causes foaming with certain products. The foam carries active ingredient of herbicide. It went to the top of the spray tank, touched the top of the tank. They sprayed out the load. It all went back down. They did their entire sprayer clean out, but the sprayer clean out doesn't touch the top of the inside of the tank.
Oh, no.
So when they went to load, same thing. They loaded the next load for canola, all foamed up, went to the top of the tank, touched that, brought that active ingredient from the wheat product down into the canola spray, and then it got sprayed out through the booms. And that took a little while to figure that one out.
How do you even figure that out?
It was a lot of work, but we finally figured out.
Magic 8-ball shakes.
It actually required one of us to get in the sprayer and start looking around. So if you've never had to crawl inside your own spray tank, I don't recommend it.
Oh,
but
that's
done.
funny.
So we do have to get ready with our guest, though. We are going to be joined by North Dakota Ag Commissioner Doug Goehring, and Doug is kind enough to join us to talk specifically about some legislation that happened this year during our session, and that was House Bill 1519. And I have the short version of it, autonomous mapping of Palmer Amaranth, but I bet it entails more, and I bet Doug's going to be able to tell us what that is. So be prepared with all of your questions when we come back. You can reach us at 701-293-9000. We will be right back with the Ag Commissioner.
It's Jay and Ronnie from the Coffee Club, and we enjoy drinking coffee because it keeps us energized and focused.
Well, let's be frank. I enjoy drinking coffee because coffee keeps me wide-eyed in the morning, but I'll tell you this type of coffee is organic, specialty-grade coffee, beans selected from the top 2% available, 100% Arabica bean coffee, certified organic, non-GMO, low acidity, rich, smooth, and ready to drink.
The finish is clean and it has a pleasant aftertaste. It's delicious. It's so far the best coffee that we've had. It's also roasted and packed in the US of A. We love it and we guarantee you will too. All you need to do is go to mystore.com, click on My Coffee, and enter the promo code WDAY.
That's promo code WDAY to get your own My Coffee.
It's also roasted and packed in the US of A. We love it and we guarantee you will too. Go to mystore.com, promo code WDAY.
Attention Class A truck drivers. Plains Grain and Agronomy is looking for a full-time Class A driver in Marion, North Dakota. Plains Grain and Agronomy has a great culture, great pay, and full benefits for full-time employees. If you take pride in your work and want to offer great customer service, join the Plains Grain and Agronomy team of drivers today. Apply online. plainsgrain.com. That's plainsgrain.com.
At Fisher Investments, we do things differently, and other money managers don't understand why.
Because our way works great for us.
But it may not work for your clients. That's why Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, obligated to put clients first. It's the highest standard for a financial advisor.
So, what do you provide? Cookie-cutter portfolios like the rest of us?
No cookie-cutter portfolios here. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to meet each client's goals and needs.
But you do sell investments that earn you high commissions, right? And make commissions when you make trades for your clients?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission investment products, and we never earn commissions on trades.
So what's in it for you?
Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when our clients do better. When it comes to helping clients achieve a comfortable retirement, we're clearly different. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
At the United States Postal Service, we're reinventing our network to help keep your business moving. With new shipping options to deliver better value, greater flexibility to conveniently reach your customers, more confident shipping with new informed delivery features, and new electric vehicles for a cleaner, brighter future. Fast, reliable, perfectly orchestrated. The United States Postal Service, delivering for America. Learn more at USPS.com/moving forward.
And welcome to WDAY Weather and Ag in Focus. I'm Bridgette, Readel, Ag Director, along with meteorologist extraordinaire Justin Storm. I love it when the barn door plays. I'm so excited. And then Dean Wysocki, chief meteorologist, who thinks that you think the barn door is weird, and then you bring up Chemtrail Tuesday, and I sort of want to kick you right out the door. So take it or leave it, pal. Here you go.
Happy spray day, everybody.
Yeah, that was yesterday.
We're spraying fields. Does that count?
That's a spray day, man.
Thank you.
Any day we can get out there and throw some product out on the fields,
Yes.
it's a good day.
Not the weird spray day stuff you guys always want to talk about.
I mean, that makes its way down to the ground, too.
If you can,
Eventually.
I need you to find a sound effect for my audible eye rolls, please. That would be great. Close
It's the
enough.
closest I got off the top of my head.
Fine, we'll use that for later. But we will not use that on our guest today. And our guest is Ag Commissioner Doug Goehring. He is joining us from Bismarck. He's laughing at the antics. So I'm glad to see this doesn't look like a super serious interview, Doug.
Oh, you guys lighten up my day. I'll say that.
You should be here on break. It gets worse.
yeah.
So we did, in fact, have a listener ask some questions, and that's why I reached out to your office wanting to know more about House Bill 1519. And I gave it the synopsis of autonomous mapping for Palmer Amaranth. But I bet it means more than that. Am I even close? Where would you like to start with that discussion?
Well, that fits in there.
Okay.
We won't take that away from you. No, it's so House Bill 1519 actually does quite a few things. Part of it is it looks at autonomous vehicles and doing some testing, and there's also another aspect to it, which would be the unmanned aerial systems. And within that, that's quite large of an area that we're going to do some testing and evaluating and help some of the companies develop not only the software and the algorithms, but also really looking at a system where a lot of our county weed boards could tap into this type of work going forward. And it would help them, especially in areas where we have a lack of infrastructure, roads, and ability to get in and really monitor places. But along those lines, I think when you brought up Palmer Amaranth, that's one particular weed that we want to do some mapping of. And actually, the more pictures we can get of it, the more video, it'll help us at different stages to really utilize and develop the algorithms so that we can send out an unmanned aerial system to fly over an area, to fly over a field, to fly over pastures, any terrain, to identify if it looks like there may be that particular plant present. And if so, we could rapidly respond to it. That was probably the easiest one to bring up as an example, but that is going to be part of our work going forward. Now, it can have some other applications and uses. Some things we'd like to look at would be pest and pathogen applications. That's a big deal when you start thinking about some of the high-value crops or some of the crops in general that most of our farmers and producers are trying to manage for. Some other things that we've talked about have been nutrient deficiencies and crop stress. How can you identify and develop the algorithms for that so that we can start managing and looking at a lot of different crops and try to determine what needs may exist. Now, you need to have a lot of ground truthing with that also, and that's where crop consultants come into play.
Oh, you have fired up a whole line of questions already along those
I
lines,
know.
Doug.
Well, and then just for livestock producers, and then we'll move into the questions, but for livestock producers, there are ways in which we can utilize unmanned aerial systems to start to look at grazing patterns of livestock, different weed species and vegetation that exist out there. How are livestock managing that? Plus, you can also start to manage for predator control, range line capacity. You can even do some things with herd health and condition. There's so many different applications that you can really look at. It's almost unimaginable. But this is where you need to sit down and develop some of this with producers, develop it with the software companies, with the companies that have the unmanned aerial systems. There's a lot of things that you need to work through. And I'll tell you this, you may develop the best unmanned aerial system. It doesn't mean you have the best software to go with it. So trying to marry those two people up and get them on the same page, it can be a nightmare some days, but we've had some good luck too.
And Doug, I got a question here. So, a lot of farmers believe less government is always usually a good thing. Why do we need a bill for this? Why can't the farmers just take care of this via drones and mapping and all that themselves?
Yeah, good question. Well, I think if it was getting done with some proper oversight and some accountability and some transparency, that's all fine and dandy. Because I agree wholeheartedly. We don't need government everywhere in our lives, but there are times in which you might need that structure and framework so that you have resources, information, data, and you have all these entities coming together so you can best glean, manage, work through some of this, develop the structure, and maybe putting something forward. But I agree. We don't need government everywhere. It's just once in a while when the private sector can't get it done very well, or somebody's doing it, but then they want all that information and they just want it for themselves, or they want to charge an awful lot for it to someone else, which I'm not begrudging the private sector that either. But there's some things that we don't necessarily need to abuse the private sector over for all the time.
Right. I got one for you here quick before we hit the bottom of the hour. You had mentioned with the mapping to be done with this, would it all entirely be done with drones and software? Is that the primary way that this mapping is looking to get completed?
Well, I think you use the drones to maybe develop some of that mapping, but every year is going to be different. You still have to ground truth it. You can't trust technology explicitly. Oh God, if I trusted my phone,
I saw it on the
Google,
internet. It's got to be true.
I know it's got to be true, but I'm here to tell you it's not. So
Tuesday spray days.
Stop.
No, I'm kidding. So back to seriousness here. How you'd mentioned the drones, the software, two entities got to come together to make the best product possible for maybe the first steps in the mapping with that. Where, if you haven't already had this accomplished or done, what's the outlook for how this is going to get done? Are you going to be working with the outside private company, getting help from the universities when it comes to software development or the UAS systems, the drones, anything like that planned out or been done?
So there are several different companies out there that work on the software side of it. We have numerous companies that are involved in the unmanned aerial systems or the drones. It's trying to work with all of them. They'll tell you they already have their own software, and they'll tell you that in most cases, they can already do this. Well, that's great, but let's sit down and look at it. Let's work through it. Let's see it in action. I've been dealing with the drone issue for almost 12 years now, 13 years. And I remember early on in its stages, I was dealing with people that had great drones, and I was dealing with people that had great hardware, software, had the knowledge. And yet trying to get those two together was almost impossible because they were so afraid the other one was going to get for, the great project that was going to be developed from this, or all the good stuff that was going to come from it, that ultimately nothing was developed because no one could get out of the way. They were too afraid of someone else getting all the credit and getting ahead. Yeah, so it took some time to work through some of that, and ultimately some people just left and are no longer in the business, or they ended up finally merging with somebody else. And this is just a matter of working through it. We got a lot of great companies out there, a lot of good people, and I think there's some things that can be done. And ultimately, it is going to be marketed to the private sector, but at least let's make sure that we get the right stuff put forward. Because the other problem is the private sector sometimes shows up and tells us what they think we want. And I'm here to tell you, what farmers and ranchers, producers want and need is not the same as what people think. We can go out there and count plants. Who cares? That's great to get a stand count, but there's so many other things that are going to be applicable to whether we're successful, how we're going to manage that crop. what the best potential yield could be, and ultimately what is the best way to manage. So, yeah.
All right. Well, this is all good stuff. And if you want to join on the conversation, ask the Ag Commissioner here of North Dakota, Doug Goehring, any questions. Feel free to. 701-293-9000 is the Red Wings phone studio line. Again, that's 701-293-9000, or you can always reach us via email at weather.or ag@flagfamily.com. We're at bottom of the hour. When we come back, we'll rejoin this conversation. Got a lot more questions regarding House Bill 1519. That's the autonomous mapping of Palmer Amaranth, and a couple of other things regarding that as well. And we encourage you to chime in and ask any questions if you want, so stay tuned. Weather and Ag in Focus. We'll be right back.
It's Jay and Ronnie from the Coffee Club, and we enjoy drinking coffee because it keeps us energized and focused.
Well, let's be frank. I enjoy drinking coffee because coffee keeps me wide-eyed in the morning, but I'll tell you this type of coffee is organic, specialty-grade coffee, beans selected from the top 2% available, 100% Arabica bean coffee, certified organic, non-GMO, low acidity, rich, smooth, and ready to drink.
The finish is clean and it has a pleasant aftertaste. It's delicious. It's so far the best coffee that we've had. It's also roasted and packed in the US of A. We love it and we guarantee you will too. All you need to do is go to mystore.com, click on My Coffee, and enter the promo code WDAY.
That's promo code WDAY to get your own My Coffee.
It's also roasted and packed in the US of A. We love it and we guarantee you will too. Go to mystore.com, promo code WDAY.
Hey, it's Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki. Join me, Justin Storm, and Ag Director Bridgette Readel throughout the summer as we attempt to grow a crop of soybeans. We're calling it Here We Grow, and we'll be documenting what it takes to farm in the Red River Valley and beyond. Look for new videos every Friday on WDAYRadioNow.com, our YouTube channel, and social media pages. Here We Grow is brought to you in part by Steffes Group, Red Wing Boots, and WDAY Radio.
Attention Class A truck drivers. Plains Grain and Agronomy is looking for a full-time Class A driver in Marion, North Dakota. Plains Grain and Agronomy has a great culture, great pay, and full benefits for full-time employees. If you take pride in your work and want to offer great customer service, join the Plains Grain and Agronomy team of drivers today. Apply online. plainsgrain.com. That's plainsgrain.com. Foston Tri-Co-op is hiring an agronomy manager. Must have sales and agronomy experience, able to sell crop protection, fertilizer, and chemicals. College degree in agronomy or equal experience is preferred. Enjoy competitive salary and benefits including health, long-term disability, dental, life insurance, HAS, paid vacation, and retirement match and profit sharing. Email resume to jen.howard@fostoncoop.com or call 218-435-6919 and ask for Brent. Foston Tri-Co-op, hiring an agronomy manager, and it could be you.
At Fisher Investments, we do things differently, and other money managers don't understand why.
Because our way works great for us.
But it may not work for your clients. That's why Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, obligated to put clients first. It's the highest standard for a financial advisor.
So, what do you provide? Cookie cutter portfolios like the rest of us?
No cookie cutter portfolios here. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to meet each client's goals and needs.
But you do sell investments that earn you high commissions, right? And make commissions when you make trades for your clients?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission investment products, and we never earn commissions on trades.
So what's in it for you?
Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when our clients do better. When it comes to helping clients achieve a comfortable retirement, we're clearly different. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
At the United States Postal Service, we're reinventing our network to help keep your business moving. With new shipping options to deliver better value, greater flexibility to conveniently reach your customers, more confident shipping with new informed delivery features, and new electric vehicles for a cleaner, brighter future. Fast, reliable, perfectly orchestrated. The United States Postal Service, delivering for America. Learn more at USPS.com/moving forward.
Pucklet Chevrolet Buick GMC in Valley City makes it easy to find your next Chevrolet Buick GMC or pre-owned vehicle by offering a great selection at our best prices possible.
Welcome back to WDAY, Weather and Ag in Focus. I'm Bridgette Readel, Ag Director, along with our crack meteorology staff, Justin Storm and Chief Dean Wysocki. And a big thank you to North Dakota State Services for their sponsorship of our Here We Grow project. Our soybeans are in the ground.
Yes.
Our 20 acres got planted on Saturday.
They got some rain.
We are ready to roll. I bet by tomorrow I would love to drive by and see if their little heads are starting to come out of the ground.
They got to be getting there close. If you want to follow along, head over to our Facebook or even better yet, our YouTube channel, Weather and Ag in Focus. We got 6 episodes. 7 will be coming out on Friday. We release a new episode every single week, step by step, on how we go from field to table.
Well, we are going to go record the next
right
episode
after this, actually.
And that's going to be with Dakota Bank. They are an ag lender. They are somewhat new to the area, based out of Aberdeen, South Dakota. And I think we're going to have a little bit of fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun because, Jim's letting us use some of his equipment, but after last week and Dean got the tractor thingy stuck in the other thingy, we got to go buy our own equipment.
Nothing broke.
It didn't break. I don't think Jim appreciated it, though.
Suddenly, thingy is a technical term here. Nonetheless.
The doodad.
The doodad. We do have with us today our North Dakota State Ag Commissioner, and that is Doug Goehring. And Doug is joining us from Bismarck, so those on the live stream can see him visiting. As we've been talking about some legislation that came about this year, House Bill 1519 talking about more autonomous work, not only in cropping systems, but in livestock as well. And one thing that you mentioned early on, Doug, in our discussion was county weed boards. I would say that there's probably half of the segment of our listeners who don't know what a county weed board is. I do. But would you like to define that for those who don't? Because it's not that weed, Justin. Not that one.
No. This is Minnesota.
I think there probably are county weed boards in Minnesota, too.
Really? I didn't hear about those.
But in North Dakota, yes. So counties have the authority to manage for noxious weeds in their county. They also have the ability to request and list other special weeds of concern in their county, and then they can petition me and ask me to have certain weeds placed on a county noxious weed list. But there are noxious weeds in North Dakota that have to be managed by federal and state law. And each county commission actually has or should hire a county weed officer. They'll appoint a county weed board, that gives direction to the county weed officer. And then the county weed officer, their job is to go out and monitor that county, to work with producers. And because there are certain state programs, such as the Landowner Assistance Program, they can actually tap that program to support producers that are trying to manage non-cropland area. So this would, understandably, cropland area, farmers have a responsibility no matter what. It's the non-cropland area that generally is the most difficult to manage. You don't have people out over every square inch of that farming it or managing it to any great degree, but because we will show up with some problematic weeds out in those areas, that's the reason for the county weed boards and the county weed officers to work with landowners. And they can tap into one of our programs that actually helps defray or offset some of the cost of a herbicide to manage some of those noxious weeds. All 53 counties have a county weed board. Some of them aren't as active as others. Some I do have to send them letters and tell them, please get engaged, because your producers in your county aren't happy and they're contacting me. Now, ultimately, in the end, if something isn't being managed within a county, then I have the authority to step in. And I've only had to do that twice since I've been here. So I really try to assist and help the counties manage through as many problems and issues as they possibly can.
good news, guys. I can get you all signed up to be on a weed board.
Cool.
That works.
Right on.
You should, Bridgette, you should tell them that people are not beating down the doors to get on a county weed board.
No. Also, it's sort of a lifetime commitment. If you're on a weed board, a township
really?
board,
This is like a lifer thing.
water
like
thing. Yeah, you're
15
there.
to life, or
So close. So, those things can happen. Yes.
alrighty.
So, looking at some other things, you mentioned that some of the mapping that was brought up in this legislation had to do with Palmer Amaranth. And as we get into our last few minutes, were there any other specifically targeted weeds, perhaps something on the noxious weed list or anything else that you wanted to make sure was also being covered by some of this mapping?
So understand that when these bills come forward, they come forward by legislators, and there were various things that were talked about. One of the things that was asked of us is, could we do something in some problematic counties? And one issue that was asked, is there any possible way of dealing with Palmer Amaranth? And we said, absolutely. So this particular bill is going to be supporting some work that we're targeting for a specific county in the east. And we are going to do some mapping, and we're also going to help try to develop more data, more information, so that in the future, this company or any other companies that continue to develop more data and the optics for it will be able to have equipment available to county weed boards so that they can go out and actually use this to visualize parts of their county that are a little more difficult to get to, and identify if there is Palmer Amaranth in that particular area, which then can immediately be dealt with.
So, last question for me, and that would be, with all of the mapping that being done by UAVs, is that a new position? Do we know who would actually be running those drones at some point in time, or are we not quite at the point of making that sort of a decision yet?
So this is going to be a private sector.
Okay.
We're just here to manage and make sure that it's being developed properly with respect to what really needs to go on here. And then hopefully, if the private sector takes off and runs with this, I know a lot of county weed boards and county weed officers that would probably be interested in utilizing this technology or utilizing these services. So I don't necessarily, maybe a county would actually buy their own drone and try to have the software available to do it themselves. That's very possible. Or it's going to be something that they're going to partner with the private sector and make some things happen.
Well, it's been a very busy legislative year, and I know that it's nice to have things maybe wind down a little bit, although when we've talked before, Commissioner Goehring, we know that for the most part you wear about 72 different hats depending on what day it is, as one of the most busy and connected politicians we have in the state. So as we wind down here today, where would people reach out to your office for various things? We've got a couple minutes, so if you want to click off your website or areas that people should maybe reach out to when they have concerns this summer.
So you can call us at 701-328-2231 or 1-800-242-7535, or you can just visit our website, which is nd.gov/NDDA. So just stands for North Dakota Government, North Dakota Department of Agriculture. Now, I will tell you that our website, I think we still own that dominion, but if you just put in Ag Department into a Google search web, I believe it'll come right to us. Nice. We bought that years ago and haven't let go of that. I hope somebody held it anyways. I don't like to necessarily use that because people are like, no, you're not supposed to be saying that. But I did. I let it out.
Make sure the IT department keeps a firm grasp on that so it doesn't get away from the state. That'd be ideal. Well, the summer will be plenty busy. We're well aware of that. But again, for folks that want to reach out, offices are easy to find. If you want to talk to folks at whether it's at the Ag Department or anywhere else in the Capitol, that's what they're there for. And you're all happy to visit with us as citizens. So we appreciate that. So
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your time today, Commissioner Goehring. Folks, we want to spend a little time with the American Ag Network. We're going to hear what our local market report might be and probably a little recap of the weather. Call her good for the day. So we'll be back after that.
At Fisher Investments, we do things differently, and other money managers don't understand why.
Because our way works great for us.
But it may not work for your clients. That's why Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, obligated to put clients first. It's the highest standard for a financial advisor.
So, what do you provide? Cookie cutter portfolios like the rest of us?
No cookie cutter portfolios here. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to meet each client's goals and needs.
But you do sell investments that earn you high commissions, right? And make commissions when you make trades for your clients?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission investment products, and we never earn commissions on trades.
So what's in it for you?
Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when our clients do better. When it comes to helping clients achieve a comfortable retirement, we're clearly different. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
At the United States Postal Service, we're reinventing our network to help keep your business moving. With new shipping options to deliver better value, greater flexibility to conveniently reach your customers, more confident shipping with new informed delivery features, and new electric vehicles for a cleaner, brighter future. Fast, reliable, perfectly orchestrated. The United States Postal Service, delivering for America. Learn more at USPS.com/moving forward.
Markets trying to rebound as we near midday. You're listening to the American Ag Network. I'm Jesse Allen with this market update. We're joined now by Arlen Suderman, Chief Commodities Economist at StoneX. Arlen, looking at this grain and oilseed trade, I thought for a while it was going to be another day like Tuesday with sharp losses overnight and early this morning, but we're doing our best to rebound here. We're getting closer to unchanged. So what's the storyline here in this grain trade on Wednesday? Why the bounce off the sharp lows from the early morning?
We continue to be in an overall negative atmosphere for the commodity sector, and that's really spreading across the energies and across most of the ags. Just this deleveraging from the commodities on expectations that sluggish economic growth is going to reduce demand for these commodities, and we're starting to see that play out for some commodities more than others, but overall that's been the case. And then when you look at the weakness in the exports of U.S. grain and oilseeds, that just contributes to that demand story being weak. We've had quite a sell-off in these commodities, and eventually they get oversold. In other words, all those who were going to sell have sold, and you start to run out of sellers, and then you have a correction. That correction can come from markets moving sideways for a period of time or from a bounce, either way. But we generally will correct an oversold condition, and then they start coming off of their bottoms once again for a period of time. I know a lot of Midwest farmers will point to how dry it is in the Midwest, and I think fund managers would acknowledge that it's dry in the Midwest. But yesterday's condition index scores for corn were not that much below normal, just slightly below normal. And fund managers also see the rain in the forecast for the second week of June. So that doesn't provide the change in direction needed right now. And so momentum continues to the downside.
That's Arlen Suderman of StoneX on the American Ag Network.
Let the Goose River Bank become your community bank. They believe a strong bank builds strong communities and would be proud to be your bank.
Hey, welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for rejoining us. It's 1:51 this afternoon, and play another quick game of guess the temperature. Bridgette, how hot is it outside?
Still hot.
Still hot. I can also confirm that it is still hot. Dean, can you guess the temperature right now?
I'm going to guess.
I'm sorry.
Turn your mic on.
Yeah, you
first,
left.
Yeah, I'm going to guess 90.1.
It's hot. Well, the National Weather Service hasn't quite updated yet. It's still saying 89 from last hour. But NDON is currently reporting 87 over the FM Metro, and we're probably right around 90 because
I'm not.
Endon has tended to be a couple degrees cooler than what the airport's been reporting over the last couple of weeks. And we've been topping like low 90s, and Endon's been saying like 89.
Look, if I get to
collapse.
if I get to over 82, I'm pretty much a blah, 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 because I don't care. It's too warm for me. I just want you to know that. Anything over 82, I'm done. I'm out.
If I get over 82, I just hope that I'm still mentally there. We're
Good
talking
luck.
about
Good-
age, right?
Good luck, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Good luck.
Yeah, no, not very good luck.
on
I'm
that.
already losing it, and I'm only 28.
And we do have some storms that are popping up to our south in areas of South Dakota. They are moving north. Some severe weather even reported down in South Dakota.
But it's not coming here.
It's coming due north.
It's down by Millbank right now, outside the outskirts of Watertown. A severe thunderstorm warning. Those storms are moving north.
Straight north?
north.
Mostly north.
Okay.
So more than
North
likely,
enough.
we will see some stronger storms develop here in the FM area late this afternoon, just in time for Justin's softball game.
Oh, man.
Sorry.
Or and into the evening. So if you have any evening plans, keep an eye to the sky. Could see some stronger storms traverse.
Haven't
the
you guys?
area.
Okay, every time you say softball league, there is. I used to hear this on a radio show out of Indianapolis, and they always used to say softball church league fist fight. Anybody remember that?
No.
Someone is going to email me at ag@Flag Family and tell me who the comedian was who did it. It was a whole song. Church league softball fist fight. It's pretty awesome.
I can't quite say I do.
Also not appropriate for a PG audience.
So I can't play it on YouTube right now.
Bet not.
I'm willing to take a risk. Speaking about how just the nature of these storms when they pop up outside of that line to our south, I was chatting with James, our sports director here at WDAY and Flag Family, and he's like, "Yeah, I was out fishing and I'm looking at the radar and there's nothing." I look at the radar and there's nothing. And he's like, "Man, it couldn't have been more than 15 minutes later and it was downpouring and lightning outside." And I'm like, they pop up fast, man. That's why we call them pop-up storms.
Okay, so those are tough on you if you're out in the field because you are spraying products and you need them to dry on the plant. And a lot of products have a 30, 60 minute, even up to 4 or 6 hours rain fast. And that's so it's dry on the plant. The product is absorbed into the plant material and begins its translocation in many cases. When you get those pop-up showers that wash it off, you're like, I just did that field.
Here's the crummy thing about it, too. And this actually just happened to me. My buddy's down in New Ulm. He's got a farm down there in southern Minnesota. He's like, "Hey, what's the weather look like for New Ulm?" I'm like, "I haven't looked, man. I don't know. You tell me." And he's like, "No, seriously, we're spraying. I need to know if I can go out there." And I was like, "Oh, all right." And he's like, "We want to spray in the next 2 days." I'm like, "What's your window?" He's like, "We need like 4 to 6 hours for dry time."
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't tell you it's not going to rain because you're dealing down there with the same thing we're dealing with up here. There's these spotty pop-up thunderstorms. It's like, I can tell you where they'll be, but I can't specifically tell you that it will not rain on your farm.
Right. And we'd like to give as much advanced warning as we can. The LRC tells us when we have stormy patterns, but an immediate shower right over your farm that only lasts for 15 minutes, that's going to be a tough one.
Yeah.
There's one of those that just popped up by Cando up in north.
Cando. That's Cando.
Cando, excuse me, up in the far northern valley over by the northern Devil's Lake Basin. It went from nothing to being just a tiny little red blob, maybe a few miles wide in about 25 minutes.
I want to do a very quick shout out to Brian, one of our listeners. He knew who I was talking about. He said the comedian is Tim Wilson. So look that up, kids. Tim Wilson.
That confirms people do listen to us.
I know.
I was surprised. I was like, man, there ain't no one listening to us.
Really?
They are because they all call for our rain gauges because they're
do.
awesome.
They want them too.
And for those who have them for productive alternatives, make sure you send us messages when you get rain in your gauge so we know how much.
And if you want to win one, go to our Facebook page and guess how many bushels of beans that we will end up harvesting at the end of the season, and whoever gets it or is closest has a chance to win.
Do you know how many bushels we're going to harvesting?
I said 50.
All of them. We're going to harvest all of them.
We're going to harvest all of them. Thank
all
you.
of them.
Yeah. Well, hey, if anybody gives that answer, I get, that might be the winner.
Never know.
We have any other topics, or are we?
We have a lot of topics.
Dean's like, I just want to leave. I'll be out the door. Thanks.
I mean,
well, you guys got to get going.
We got
if
to
you
go
gotta
shoot a
wrestle
video.
a monkey.
Justin and I are just going to shoot a video. You do
We're
what
gonna
you
shoot a
got to
video.
do.
You got What are you doing? Are you going over to Sweet Shots with the kid or bowling or what's your guys' plan
He
today?
probably wants to ride the go-karts and play outside.
Oh, so you're going to go across the street.
And I'll be monitoring the radar at the
Road.
same time. That'll be fun.
Ah, yes, it
Hey,
will
don't
be.
look at your phone and drive the go-kart. Be careful over there.
Right, exactly.
Texting and driving applies to both vehicles and go-karts, Dean.
It does.
A lot of left turns over across the street. A couple right ones, in fact.
I've seen you over there tossing beer cans out of your go-kart. They don't allow that there. You got to,
After hours.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Pre-season, too. We were making sure that the golf carts were working.
That's right.
So that way they were safe to operate.
This is not
lawfully.
an OSHA-sanctioned situation. I can see it already. So
I hope people know that 90% of our show is just jokes.
Well, we don't have a guest on here.
The sarcasm here is just dripping off the walls.
This is grade A sarcasm over here.
That's right.
I'll tell you what. Number one sarcastic show in the afternoon.
Ooh.
I would say it's a safe bet.
That's pretty good.
Probably true. Okay.
Watch for storms later today. In fact, this same pattern is with us all the way through the upcoming weekend. Daily highs around 90. Isolated severe storms. Now, when we say severe, the main threat with this is going to be large hail. And that's the main threat.
How large is large? What are we thinking? Are we talking like volleyball, softball, bowling ball, watermelon,
Record
ping pong?
setting?
Ooh, I like records.
Yeah. No, we're looking at probably 1 inch diameter hail.
Okay.
So that would constitute severe. So we'll see. I mean, they had a hen egg size again yesterday up around Bemidji.
An inch and a half?
Yeah, close to 2.
Close to 2 inches?
You said hen egg, right? Mm-hmm. Good. Better than a rooster egg.
Roosters don't lay eggs.
See? Gotcha. Just looking if you're paying attention.
I didn't even have it. There we go. Well, we got the tail end of it.
So that'll do it for us today. You guys have to scoot out of here. I think Jacob's got a little...
well, I don't think we ever gave him a heads up we were doing that, so I doubt he even has any of that stuff ready. So we'll just fill the next minute 45.
Hey, I've got actually, tomorrow our guest is going to be Nick Berkheimer. Nick is with Farm QA, and they are part of Howard Dahl's Amity Technologies here in town. He's going to talk about that software. And I've got a lot of crop consultants that use it. So if you are planning some time tomorrow afternoon, maybe you're going to be out in a field, in your pickups, whatever, pay attention because that's a pretty awesome piece of software that people can be using for mapping. Consultants like it, so do a number of our farmers. So they're going to pick up some tips from Nick about Farm QA. That'll be excellent.
How about that conference tomorrow? Is it tomorrow?
Nope. You mean next week? Midwest Ag Summit. That will be next week, Tuesday, out at Red River Valley Fairgrounds. There's going to be some panelists. One of our prior guests, that was Jared Knock from South Dakota. He's going to be on one of the panels regarding environmental social governance. There will also be a panel on the Farm Bill with former Minnesota Representative Colin Peterson. And then next week is kind of like Farm Conference Week in North Dakota.
Cool.
Bushel is having their Buddy Seat Conference. One of their speakers is going to be a radio guest. He is the wakeboard farmer, Quentin Keneally. He's from just north of Omaha, Nebraska. He'll be here in studio with us next week. And additionally, it will be the Cultivate Conference put on by Grand Farm and Emerging Prairie.
You know how they surf in Nebraska?
This guy did it in a ditch.
That's exactly the way I was going to go.
Yep. Wait till you see
ditch surfing.
You got to find the YouTube
I saw
video.
a guy doing that, actually. It was kind of funny.
Might have been Quentin. So you
probably
got to
was.
find the video. It's pretty cool.
But that's going to wrap it up for us today. Thanks for joining us. We're back tomorrow, 1 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Got a lot of fun topics we'll cover. Jay Thomas Show is coming up next. Remember, a few scattered storms likely this afternoon and evening.
AM 970 and FM 93.1.